In this video, we will compare and contrast what it is to be a narcissist. Are those following the MGTOW philosophy considered narcissistic, selfish, or just choosing their own path? To continue on the path of MGTOW, at times you will probably feel the need to focus on yourself only. Self-preservation is not negative and doesn't affect others. Being a narcissist, on the other hand, typically can and does affect others around you. So does that make you a true narcissist or just a little selfish? What's really the difference? Are narcissists mostly hyperactive or hypoactive in the bedroom? What extent are they likely to be unfaithful in relationships? Answer. Broadly speaking, there are two types of narcissists, loosely corresponding to the two categories mentioned in the question. Intimacy for the narcissist is an instrument designed to increase the number of sources of supply. If it happens to be the most efficient weapon in the narcissist's arsenal, he makes use of it. In other words, if the narcissist cannot obtain adoration, admiration, approval, applause, or any other kind of attention, he resorts to bedroom fun. He then becomes a satyr, or a nymphomaniac, and indiscriminately engages with multiple partners. His partners are considered by him to be objects, sources of narcissistic supply. It is through the processes of successful seduction and conquest that the narcissist derives his badly needed fix. The narcissist is likely to perfect his techniques of courting and regard his exploits as a form of art. He usually exposes this side of him, in great detail to others, to an audience, expecting to win their approval and admiration. Because the narcissistic supply in his case is in the very act of conquest, and what he perceives to be subordination, the narcissist is forced to hop from one partner to another. Some narcissists prefer complicated situations. Men. Maybe they prefer less experienced partners, married women, frigid or lesbian women, etc. If you are getting value from video content about improving relationships, please like and subscribe, and turn on the bell for any notifications. Thank you. The more difficult the target, the more rewarding the narcissistic outcome. Such a narcissist may be married, but he does not regard his extramarital affairs as either immoral or a breach of any explicit or implicit contract between him and his spouse. He keeps explaining to anyone who cares to listen that his other sexual partners are nothing to him, meaningless, that he is merely taking advantage of them and that they do not constitute a threat and should not be taken seriously by his spouse. In his mind, a clear separation exists between the honest woman of his life, really, a saint, and the woman that he is dating. Education is the key. When inevitably abandoned by his spouse, the narcissist is veritably shocked and hurt. This is the sort of crisis which might drive him to psychotherapy. Still, deep inside, he feels compelled to continue to pursue precisely the same path. His abandonment is cathartic, purifying. Following a period of deep depression, the narcissist is likely to feel cleansed, invigorated, unshackled, ready for the next round of hunting. But there is another type of narcissist. He also has bouts of intimate hyperactivity in which he trades partners and tends to regard them as objects. However, with him, this is a secondary behavior. It appears mainly after major narcissistic traumas and crises. A painful divorce, a devastating personal financial upheaval, and this type of narcissist adopts the view that the old intellectual solutions do not work anymore. Sex is handy and is a great source of the right kind of supply. It is immediate, partners are interchangeable, the solution is comprehensive, it encompasses all the aspects of the narcissist's being. Natural, highly charged, adventurous, and pleasurable. Thus, following a life crisis, the cerebral narcissist is likely to be deeply involved in activities, very frequently and almost to the exclusion of all other matters. This kind of narcissist is afraid of encounters with the opposite sex and is even more afraid of emotional involvement or commitment that he fancies himself prone to develop following an encounter. In general, such a narcissist withdraws not only sexually, but also emotionally. If married, he loses all interest in his spouse. He confines himself to his world and makes sure that he is sufficiently busy to preclude any interaction with his nearest, and supposedly dearest. He becomes completely immersed in big projects, lifelong plans, a vision, or a cause, all very rewarding narcissistically and all very demanding and time-consuming. In such circumstances, intimacy inevitably becomes an obligation, a necessity, or a maintenance chore reluctantly undertaken to preserve his sources of supply, his family or household. The cerebral narcissist does not enjoy sex and by far prefers masturbation or objective, emotionless sex, like going to prostitutes. He uses his mate or spouse as an alibi, a shield against the attentions of other women, an insurance policy which preserves his virile image while making it socially and morally commendable for him to avoid any intimate contact with others. Ostentatiously ignoring women other than his wife, a form of aggression, he feels righteous in saying, "I am a faithful husband." At the same time, he feels hostility towards his spouse for preventing him from freely expressing his masculinity, for isolating him from carnal pleasures. The narcissist's thwarted logic goes something like this: I am married, attached to this woman. Therefore, I am not allowed to be in any form of contact with other women which might be interpreted as more than casual or businesslike. Therefore I refrain from having anything to do with women, because I am being faithful, as opposed to most other immoral men. However, I do not like this situation. I envy my free peers. They can have as much intimacy and romance as they want to, while I am confined to this marriage, chained by my wife, my freedom curbed. I am angry at her, and I will punish her by abstaining from having intimacy with her. His reclusion ensures against a future hurt and avoids the intimacy that he so dreads. But, again, this way he also secures abandonment in the replay of old, unresolved conflicts. Finally, he really is left alone by everyone, with no secondary sources of supply. The second type of narcissist is mostly sexually loyal to his spouse. He alternates between what appears to be hypersexuality and asexuality, really, forcefully repressed. In the second phase, he feels no sexual urges, bar the most basic. He is, therefore, not compelled to cheat upon his mate, betray her, or violate the marital vows. He is much more interested in preventing a worrisome dwindling of the kind of narcissistic supply that really matters. Sex, he says to himself, contentedly, is for those who can do no better. Somatic narcissists tend to verbalize exhibitionism. They tend to brag in graphic details about their conquests and exploits. In extreme cases, they might introduce live witnesses and revert to total, classical exhibitionism. This sits well with their tendency to objectify their sexual partners, to engage in emotionally neutral sex, groups for instance. The exhibitionist sees himself reflected in the eyes of the beholders. This constitutes the main stimulus. This is what turns him on. This outside look is also what defines the narcissist. There is bound to be a connection. One, the exhibitionist, may be the culmination, the pure case of the other, the narcissist. Ladies, choose your partner wisely. If your guy appears to have any of these signs, there is no saving him. Let him go, or continue on his path, or accept him. The choice is yours. Clearly, a narcissist is selfish to those around them. MGTOW is a philosophy of self-preservation and does not harm anyone. Did we miss anything on our list? Leave a comment below on something that should be added. Thanks for watching.